1978, the Janata Party came to power. And there was a Janata Dal chief minister. And as your lordship knows, that government fell in 1979. In fact, the agitationers said, we would rather give our blood, but we will not give our oil. Why? Because production of oil was in Assam. And there was they stopped the production of oil. Production of oil fell. Only 3 places they produced oil: Gujarat, Bombay High, and Assam. And actually what happened in 1971 was the second partition of India. In the sense that Pakistan was East Pakistan was obliterated from the back. Bangladesh was created, and those people, those Hindus, and
that's not a second partition.
Second partition of Pakistan. So therefore, because of that, these people came across. It's that second partition of Pakistan that resulted in part of this influx. If I may, read it. Any section of the citizens residing in the territory of India, or any part thereof having a distinct language, script, or culture of its own, shall have the right to conserve the same. No problem. Which part of their petition says that their right to language, script, or culture has been impacted? That's not even their case. So how do you bring 29 into it? The submission that I am making is, this demographic change happened because of historic reasons. And these historic reasons don't relate only to 1947, after 1947. These historic reasons are etched in history right from 1824. And it would be difficult for the court, to identify as a matter of fact that this happened only after 1947.
According to you, this flux was happening much before that.
Much before. It's part of history, And actually what happened in 1971 was the second partition of India. In the sense that Pakistan was East Pakistan was obliterated from the back. Bangladesh was created, and those people, those Hindus, and
that's not a second partition.
Second partition of Pakistan. So therefore, because of that, these people came across. It's that second partition of Pakistan that resulted in part of this influx. And Parliament debated it, and I don't want to trouble your lordships. When Parliament debated it, Parliament said, we don't want to. Yeah. And this literature we've put in the compilation, in our compilation. I'll not trouble your lordships with it. The point I'm making is this second partition of Pakistan resulted partly in this influx. But the influx was happening all along. But in any event, as a matter of constitutional law, they have to show as to what part of their language, what part of their script, what part of their cultural tradition is being impacted. And ultimately, what I heard the other side saying, and that's a political argument, what I heard the other side saying was, they have been even given the right to vote. That's nothing to do with 29. So, what happened? Now, let's come nearer home. Then what happened? In 1978, the Janata Party came to power. And there was a Janata Dal chief minister. And as your lordship knows, that government fell in 1979. Mrs. Gandhi then came to power. Now, what had been happening between 78 and 79, there were huge agitations in Assam by the student community. And if I may, invite you, just note it, there's a book called Modern Assam, which is part of the compilation,
Where is that book?
Yes, give the page. Kindly, just at your leisure, read chapter 12 of that book, which is titled Waves of Popular Protest. Waves of Popular Protest. Just give the page, please, the PDF. It will give you the historical context of how this whole protest started. There was price rise, there was unemployment, and then part of it was attributed to the fact that there were people who had settled there since 1951, and there were protests against that. That look, these are outsiders, so these are the others. And the agitation reached such a crescendo that it led to huge violence. I mean, the Delhi massacre in 1983 was as bad as any massacres that have happened since. In fact, the agitationers said, we would rather give our blood, but we will not give our oil. Why? Because production of oil was in Assam. And there was they stopped the production of oil. Production of oil fell. Only 3 places they produced oil: Gujarat, Bombay High, and Assam. Transportation was stopped. Killings took place. Children were killed. In 1983, Mrs. Gandhi decided to have an election. It was opposed. 2% of the people voted in that election. And a person with 17% won the election. There was again a huge protest. I'm talking about 83. Why this 85 happened? When Mrs. Gandhi was assassinated in October. The demand was that 1951 onwards, everybody who was a non-Assami who had come in should be thrown out. This was not agreed to. Mrs. Gandhi got assassinated in October 1984. Rajiv Gandhi then said, let's try and compromise this issue. In the meantime, Praful Mahanta became the chief minister. And in the 2 years, 83 to 85, they got discredited. The movement, became weak. And the 85 accord. Mrs. Gandhi always said, let's keep 1967 as the cutoff date. The learned solicitor rightly said, because of the 66 electoral roll. And 67 was the election. They did not agree at that point in time. But in 1985, when Rajiv came to power, he said, no, there should be give and take. And therefore, this cutoff date was agreed to. And therefore, the 1966 to 1971 period was dealt with separately, and the other period was dealt with separately. That's the genesis. Now, the first submission that my learned friend gave, he gave you population figures, those figures cannot possibly be relied upon one way or the other. Because you don't know the genesis of the migration. And even their figures show that after 71, the Muslim population has been reduced. Therefore, yes, the rate of growth has been reduced. So the point I'm making is I'm on the first point, of the Article 29 point. That has no constitutional basis. But we're not talking about people coming from outside or coming from inside. We're saying that in any event, in terms of 29, you'll have to show infringement. And their infringement is only change of demographics. That's why they show the population figures. Change in demographics cannot be the basis of an infringement of Article 29. Cannot ever be. Unless, it's very interesting. In fact, if you ask me, Assam perhaps is the most multicultural, multilinguistic, the most diverse state perhaps in the country. And culture. Diverse culture. Of the 10 or 11 petitioners that my learned friend pointed out, each of them represents a separate culture. Nobody says that that's been infringed. That's not their case. So it's a very slippery slope.